I'm Tianlu from Mechanical Engineering Department. So for today's talk, I'm going to offer actually a little bit perspective about how to leverage this emerging field about small-scale soft robotics to help us to understand, monitor, and further intervene in our marine environment. So as we know that, while the large-scale robotic systems have been widely used in different perspectives of our society, like industry, agriculture, and services, etc. However, actually for a lot of hard-to-reach fluidic environments, which are widely existing in our nature, while these robotic systems are very challenging to access there and achieve successful functions. And these environments include, but are not limited, to coral reefs, mangrove ecosystems, which can be widely seen here in Hawaii, as well as some sort of systems inside of our human body. So for today's talk, I think this example is more relevant, right? So coral reef is a very critical ecosystem here to protect our island community. And the sad story is that over the past few decades, because of the negative human impacts, such as plastic pollutions, well, these really precious ecosystems are currently under really severe damages. So we need more higher performance underwater robotic systems to help us to change these conditions. So over the past few decades, well, actually people are more interested, in the animals in marine environments, because right now we can discover them, right? So different from a lot of artificial structures, which are rigid and large scale. Well, these animals we have discovered so far here in our ocean are very soft, and they can enable very large deformation along with the body. So we call it is the very active shape adaptation. So these features of the animals actually allow very inspiring and beneficial features, such as navigation through really challenging environments. As you can see here in this example, well, this octopus could just pass through this really challenging tube without any problem, right? So over the past 10 years, well, thanks to the active advancement of two scientific fields, which is called soft robotics and also microfabrication, we were able to downsize of our robot design to millimeter to centimeter scale. At the same time, they're also very soft. So basically here, we can achieve both small and soft performance that further enables the great maneuverability, adaptation, and safe interactions with the surrounding environments. So that offers potential solutions for us to deal with the challenges in these hard-to-reach fluidic environments as seen in coral reefs and mangrove ecosystems. So for today's talk, I'm going to firstly discuss about the mechanism to help us to improve the energy efficiency of these novel bioinspired robotic systems. Well, as you may know, for a lot of past research, people actually have already discovered that for these kind of large-scale swimmers, like fish or large-scale robots, well, the most energetically beneficial combination is to utilize the non-uniform stiffness distribution together with a lower actuation frequency. So here, I'm referring to the stiffness distribution. Basically, you can see the shape of the fish is not uniform, right? It is wider in the leading edge, but it becomes a little bit shorter, or to say narrower here on the backside, and then it becomes bigger again. So that is where we know it is not uniform. However, whether the same mechanism could still play a critical role in enhancing the energy efficiency for this teeny tiny scale robotic swimmer looking like this is still unknown. So to answer this scientific challenge, or to say question, here we have developed a new type of robotic swimmer looking like this. So this robot is essentially a magnetic soft polymer structure. So you can regard the head of this robot as a small permanent magnet. And then the body connected to this head is just soft polymer, so it is not active. So if I apply an external oscillating magnetic field, well, this head will just follow my oscillation, right? And then given the fluid structure interaction, the body angulation-based swimming could be generated. Okay, so that is the basic working principle for our robot. And so to realize such a swimming, we have customized such a setup. It's called electromagnetic coil, right? So we can provide such a special oscillating magnetic field. Okay, so one of the great reasons why we have chosen this body angulation-based swimming to study is that it is one of the most commonly seen locomotion modes in nature. So it ranges from microscale sperms up to meter-scale whales. So this is like very universal locomotion pattern. So by utilizing such a very simple robotic platform, we can actually achieve pretty awesome performance, as you can see here from the video. So here is the frame-by-frame comparison in the locomotion patterns between the real lava zebrafish and our robotic swimmer. So you can see how similar they are to each other, right? And a critical information here I will mention later is that this teeny tiny guy is actually swimming with really high frequency. So we have to slower down our video down by 160 times. So its swimming frequency is actually up to 120 hertz. That is really awesome. So by utilizing such a design principle, we were able to cover these similarities in the midline kinematics from 30 hertz up to around 100 hertz. So besides such a similarity in the body kinematics, we have further captured another feature, which is called wake flow patterns. And that was quantified using particle imaging velocimetry, PIV system. So here on the left-hand side, you can see the swimming performance of our biological friend, well, the lava zebrafish in this case. So during the cyclic propulsion, there are 2 pairs of vertices shed out from the body. And in our case, according to the PIV investigations, we have captured very similar performance of the wake flow pattern. And we have done that in exactly the same spatial scale and temporal scale. So based on these similarities, we have further conducted a lot of engineering investigations. So for today's talk, I will not cover that since it is too detailed. But basically what we have discovered so far is that for this small scale swimmer, which is just millimeter sizes, well, the most energetically beneficial combination is to utilize the uniform stiffness distribution together with a higher frequency. So to explain why this happens, actually I want to show you this really exciting video. I'm pretty sure some of you guys have seen this one before because this is like a very famous video in the field of fluid structure interaction. So if you know the answer, please hold it for some time. So for the people who don't know the answer, the question is for you. So do you feel something special here for this video, or is just like some normal video with a fish swimming in the tank? Anything special here? No? Just normal, right? But what if I told you this is a dead fish? So it's a dead fish. So a really amazing part for this research is that actually people show a dead fish body, which is very compliant, but it can swim upstream. So how did they achieve that? So the key component in this research is here. Actually, it's not very clear, right? Maybe they just hide it on purpose. So this is a half cylinder-shaped object which is attached to the bottom of the tank, right? So when you have a flow from the left-hand side of the tank, and it will be split into 2 vertex pairs. And by these pairs, which is called common vertex pairs, right? So the compliant fish body could utilize such vertices to propel itself upward. So when this research was released online, actually this is one of the most popular comment on YouTube. So that is even a dead fish can swim upstream, which I think is a critical one for our researchers. But so basically what we have learned from this really interesting study is that so the undulation swimming for fish is actually directly caused by the fluid structure interaction. So it is not necessarily coming from the muscle contraction that is doing the positive work. Because in this case, the fish is already dead, right? It can no longer give you a positive actuation of your muscle. So basically, to answer the experimental phenomena of our research, we have also looked into the fluid structure interaction. I will just skip this detailed graph, but the key take-home message for this research is that if we can leverage the uniform stiffness distribution together with a higher frequency, basically we can refine the fluid structure interaction to make sure more momentum of the water are translated backward, which is against your locomotion direction. So that could enable higher energy efficiency. So that is what we have discovered in this work. Okay, so for the final step in this research, we have further verified our conclusion using a soft material called shape memory polymer. So basically now the robot could change its stiffness distribution on the fly by utilizing the surrounding temperatures differences. But in short, well, basically you can see the final demonstration that through utilizing the uniform K together with a higher frequency, our robot could swim against with a flow with relatively low energy cost. So that is just a final demonstration for this research. So basically, the take-home conclusion for this study is that for this millimeter swimmer in the intermediate flow, we actually discovered a very contradictory conclusion when we compared with the larger scale swimmer. Because from our research, we found out that, well, the higher frequency and the uniform K is better. But the previous literature actually told us the best combination for a larger scale swimmer, well, is lower frequency and non-uniform K. So these conclusions look very contradictory to each other, but they are exactly in line with different morphological features of fish at different stages of their development. So let me walk you through some details about it. So here is these morphological changes for bony fish when they develop into their adult stage, right? So when they're at their baby stages, as you can see, their body is like rectangular shape. It's more uniform. And then when they grow up, well, this body is more like ellipsoid shape. So it's more non-uniform. And similarly, if we look internally for this baby fish, well, their internal supporting structure is called a notochord, which is uniformly stiff. Okay, and when they grow up, well, this structure is further developed into these discretized vertebrae linked by the soft joints. So they could tend to change their stiffness distribution. And another supporting information from anatomical study is that, so scientists have found out that while the bony fish larvae have developed very specialized muscle fiber type, so they could enable very short time delay along the signal transmission. So our research with this swimmer, with a lot of similarities to their biological counterparts, actually point out, well, the importance of different morphological features of the body on the energy efficiency. So we hope that our study could inspire researchers like biologists or marine biologists or scientists, to re-examine the role of different features of these teeny tiny scale swimmers. So another benefit of our research is that, so we have developed such a very customized robotic system, right? So we are utilizing this external oscillating magnetic field to actuate this small-scale robot. So here, you can see, we can further utilize it to understand the swimming performance of this baby jellyfish, which is called ephemeral jellyfish. So basically, we know that under different environmental stressors like climate change or water temperature changes, actually the morphology of marine animals could change, right? So we hope that our system could be used for such understanding about how these kind of environmental stressors affect the energy cost of our marine animals or other features. Okay. So far I've been talking about this teeny tiny swimmer, right, which can be also steered by this external magnetic field. But what we have focused on so far is just energy efficiency, right? But if we look into the real world applications, if we want to do something for the environments, well, only energy efficiency there is not very sufficient. So since we don't have a lot of time, I will just quickly cover the other study we have. So basically we could design small-scale soft robotic systems for the access into really hard to reach marine environments for different potential functions. So in this case, we have synergized two concepts, well, this electrohydraulic actuator and this jellyfish-like robot to deliver this high-performance robotic system. So the first thing is just the swimming performance. Seems like the video is not, right, it's working. So just at the first sight, well, to me as a robotist, well, the performance is actually pretty boring. Well, it is just nothing, just like something swimming around, right, in your lab. But if you compare the performance of this guy with other jellyfish-like robots in the literature, well, the performance is actually pretty awesome, right? So its speed is pretty fast, but energy cost is very low. And another benefit of our design is that it is very quiet. So here you can see the sound level measurement, which is represented by the red bar here for our robot. And when it is compared with other commercial motors, actuators for underwater robots, like servo motors or hydraulic pumps, our robot is surprisingly quiet. So basically, we hope this kind of a new feature could enable much safer interactions with the underwater environments in terms of the acoustic impacts. So another thing I want to quickly show is basically the function of our robot. So here, inspired by this real manipulation of the flow function of the jellyfish, here we have shown that, well, the dye in the tank could be quickly mixed up within a very short period of time. So basically, this could be potentially used for the circulations and the transportations of the dissolvable matters in the ocean. And here we have conducted the computational fluid dynamics investigations to try to understand how these different actuation patterns could affect such a manipulation performance. So here you can see such a performance can be also used for transporting the cargoes with different shapes from the confined spaces. So we hope that one day this could be used for example, sampling really fragile samples in the coral reef, because we don't really need the mechanical contact to transport the cargoes. We only rely on the flow. So that is one of the benefits. So, well, this is more robotic side. So basically, we can decouple the control of different parts of the robot to enable more diverse functions, like steering in this case. And here we have also demonstrate, well, this transportation. So first of all, you grasp something, and then you transport them upward. It's like an octopus. It's not like jellyfish anymore. So basically, what we show here is that multiple robots could collaborate with each other. So basically, for something really challenging for a single robot, 2 of them could collaborate and transport them together. And of course, so far, this is still a lab-based prototype. There are still a lot of engineering questions we need to tackle. But eventually, we hope to work with stakeholders from different parties to translate this technology for the real-world remediation purposes, especially in this post-pandemic era, where actually you can see a lot of medical waste start to invade our precious ecosystem. So the final thing is just like we make the robot wireless so it can swim outdoors, and still this is ongoing work. So finally, well, this is a recent progress for my students here at UH Mānoa. I recently started actually in this January, so there are not so many progress yet, but thankful to my really motivated undergraduate students, we were able to make some really nice progress in optimizing our actuator design. So right now we can design this jellyfish-like structure with different shapes and also different scales, so they can access, well, the hard-to-reach environments with different dimensions. So that is one of the recent progresses. So as a summary, basically I'm working on bioinspired soft robotics, and using this emerging technology, we develop a new system to understand animal behaviors, as well as new system for interventions in our marine environments. And some of my other part of the work is about medical robotics, but I don't think that is relevant for today. So with that, I would like to conclude my presentation. If you are interested in this technology, feel free to reach out to me.